I'm back for another video. My name is Josh Kasich, and today is my Death Note review. Now, Death Note is about a character named Light, who's at the end of his high school career, and when he's intelligent, very smart, but he's bored. And one day, a Ryuk, a shinigami, which is a death god, drops its Death Note into the human world because he's bored in his world, and Light saw it fall to the ground. So after school, he goes and picks it up, and it says Death Note. It's like, what is this? And then he leaves on the ground and walks away, but then he's curious, so he goes back to the Death Note and then takes it home and reads the rules inside. So essentially the rules are whose ever name is written in this notebook shall die. But you have to picture what the person looks like as you write out the name, because people can share the same name, and not just the first name, but the first and last name. So you have to, the picturing of the person will allow the Death Note to figure out who's who. But you have to write out the cause of death in the next 46 seconds, or they would just die of a heart attack. And then you have to write out the details of the cause of death in the next 6 minutes and 46 seconds. So you can manipulate what time, what day, exactly what they get killed in front of what building, stuff like that. But Light even experimented, and he actually figured out that he can make them do whatever they want make them do whatever he wanted them to do before their death. It has nothing to do with their death. So you can make them go, I don't know, just buy something at the store and then die. He can do that, but it has to be something that they would do in their nature. So you can't make them do something they would never do, and you can't do the impossible. So if he can't make someone in Japan, let's say a criminal in a jail cell in Japan, and then go to America and get hit by a car, the book doesn't make miracles like that, so you couldn't do that. But essentially he has this goal just to kill criminals because he has this sense of justice, and now he wants to be the leader of this new world of justice with no criminals and stuff like that. And so that's kind of his goal. But then the police forces around the world were thinking that this has to be murder because all these people are dying at the same time. But they couldn't figure out why, because it's now one of the world's greatest mysteries. But then one of L's subordinates, comes in to tell them that L is going to solve this case. Now, L is a person who solves the mysteries of the world, and he wants to figure out who this person who's killing, and he actually figures out, based on how the people are dying, that the person's in Japan, and he actually sets up a trap to get Light to actually try to kill a person, thinking that it was L, and he figures out exactly what town what city it is, because the broadcast of the person was only in one city, because he was doing one by one. And so right off the bat he figures out what city the person is in, and so now he starts to works with the Japanese police, creating a Kira task force, because that's what the world was calling him. They were calling him Kira. But his father works for this task force and the police, and so basically, he lives with his father, his younger sister, and mother. And so this allows Light to access police information, and L figures this out, that Kira is getting police information, so he has all the people in the task force families spy on. And so there's these FBI agents. One Pacific FBI agent was following Light, and he makes this entire elaborate plan to figure out who the name of the FBI agent is, which allows him to figure out who his boss is, and he made this boss, before killing him, give all the names to Ray, in order to Ray give all the names written down for Light, but then he kills Ray, which is really sad because Ray has a fiance who she was actually a former FBI agent, and she decides to do her own investigation and actually figure out enough information that would help the task force figure out that it is Light. And so she goes to the task force, but unfortunately none of the task force members are there because they're with Elle in another building, and unfortunately Light was there, and so he starts to talk to her and figures out all the information she has, and that would really be bad for him. But she gave him a fake name, so after trying to write out her name, she doesn't die. So he even does more of a plan to lie to her, befriend her, tell her that he's part of the task force to get her real name, and which she does. And so he writes it down. Now she asks him why he keeps looking at his watch, and he reveals before the notebook takes effect on her that he is Kira. But then she walks off, and the last thing you see of her is the kind of surrounding her face the black with a light in the middle with a rope indicating that she's going to hang herself. Really sad, and there's a lot of sad things. Now, so this is the part where I start disliking this show, because he's just killing innocents now, and it's just I just can't I can't deal with that. I think that's just wrong, but eventually he graduates, goes to college, and he kind of has this other girlfriend, but a girl named Misa shows up being the second Kira, because she has essentially she also has these eyes that she got from the shinigami that she is followed, named Rem. And so when you make a deal with the shinigami, you get the eyes of the shinigami. And why would you want to do that? Well, because this allows you to actually see the names of people as well as their lifespan. And so this will allow you to easily kill. But the catch is your lifespan gets cut in half. Now, it doesn't really matter with Misa, well, because Rem in the Shinigami world was with another Shinigami who actually loved Misa, and Misa had a death date. And that death, well, a guy, now Misa is a model, so she's pretty famous, so a guy very obsessed with her who wants to make love with her and all that stuff appears, and he's a creep, so she refuses, and he says, well, if I can't have you, no one will, and tries to kill her. Well, that other Shinigami, not Rem, decides, because he is in love with her, writes out the guy's name, breaking the rules because he's extending Misa's lifespan, and this kills him. And his lifespan, see, every time a Shinigami kills a human, their lifespan increases. And so his lifespan actually goes to Misa, making Misa have a huge lifespan. And so when Ren goes there to give the guy's the Shinigami that just dies death note to her, and she makes the deal, it doesn't really affect her because she has a huge lifespan now. And so now, and she's obsessed with Kira because her parents years ago was killed in front of her by this guy who actually was able to get away with it because there was not enough evidence, but Kira killed him, and so she's just in love with her. And so she finds out that it was Light because you can't see the name of another person with the death note. And so, she finds him and confesses her love to her, but he doesn't really love her back, but manipulates her, gives her love, or give her whatever she wants to her in order to use her eyes. And so it's really sad that he's just using her. But Elle tries to befriend Light at college because he's actually the same age, and he actually figures out that Misa is the second Kira, and he gets captured, And so Light puts up this entire plan to relinquish the Death Note from both of them, and puts out fake rules in the notebook in order to make their innocence, because when you relinquish the Death Note, you forget all your memory, or all the memories of the killing and being Kira and all that stuff. And so so he has someone else use the Death Note now until he gets it back. Now when you get the Death Note back, you get your memories back, but you have to write out a name or to keep those memories. So if you got the Death Note and then someone immediately takes it out of your hand, you totally forget again. But that's another thing. So eventually, but now before this all happened, Mizo was actually able to see who L's real name is, but unfortunately she forgot. But that was much to Light's dismay, because that wasn't his plan. So to figure out L's name again, he has Misa start killing again, because now they were actually free, and Light's actually working with the task force now in order to find Kira before he got the Death Note back. But he's still working with the task force even though he's Kira again. But so he had this, because Misa is starting to kill again, Rem, who actually starts to care for Misa now as well, not as in love, because more just really like a kind of motherly love, I think, or really care. That's because that Rem is actually a female shinigami, just to clarify that. And so Rem kills herself by killing L and all of them, because she doesn't want she doesn't want Misa to get captured again. And that's kind of the first arc. And then there's a time jump where Light's now pretending to be the new L, and is working with the task force and stuff like that. But there's some problems, because now he's working with the task force. He can't really use the Death Note, so he starts using other people to use the Death Note, specifically one guy. But two new L's showed up, one named Near and one named Mellow, who are actually who are trying to kind of work against each other to be the replacement for L, both were actually trained by L, apparently. And so he had to make this elaborate plan to defeat Near and Mellow. And Mellow actually at one point killed his father. So there's that. So his father does die, and then but his former girlfriend in college shows up being a spokesman for Kira, and so they make this. He figures out a way to communicate with her, and so now Misa and Light were actually living together in an apartment to give her keep giving her what she wants. I forgot to clarify that, but he finds a way to find his old girlfriend or whatever, and starts manipulating her to giving what she wants with love and stuff like that. But in order to get Near was figuring out L was the new L that was actually Kira, and this puts in a whole huge plan where Near also figures out who's the guy actually doing the Death Note right now. And so Light makes him have a fake notebook and gives some of ask the guy he's working for him to create a fake notebook, and then give some papers to the other girlfriend. And then he had a college, Takuda, I think her name was. And she then gets captured by Mellow, and Mellow asks her to strip naked. Which is really, but she was hiding the papers in her bra, and before she took off those, she was asked for the blanket he has, and so she was easily able to transfer the blanket. And then they're in a truck, and he drives off, but she writes his name, and they hit a building, and then Light kills her in the book, basically lighting the entire building on fire. Now, right before she wrote down some names for him, and so she brutally dies. Mellow body's burned, her body's burned, and the papers are burned to fully figure this out. Now, Near was actually having a guy follow this other subordinate for Light, and figures out that the hidden notebook. The real notebook was actually in a bank because the guy was an idiot, and instead of listening to Light fully, he decides to kill Tokida too. And there was this final face-off at the face-off at near the task force and stuff, and the guy shows up and decides to write all their names because he has the eyes. But it turns out that it's the fake notebook, a fake notebook that Nier created, and because Nier has the real notebook, and Light loses. Now Light goes insane and then tries to, in all the commotion, tries to run and write down a name where one of his subordinates or one of the task force members shoots him several times. And then, as a distraction, the other subordinate that was doing the death note kills himself, and this allows Light to get out. But Light is killed by Ryuk, as he says at the end, in the beginning, that he would take the life of Light, and so he wrote down the name of Light, and he dies. And that's pretty much it. Nier wins, and although we also see Misa at the top in the credits at the top of the building, showing that she's going to jump off and kill herself because she can't live without Light, her lover. And so it's really sad that he manipulated her and never truly loved her. Now, in the live-action movies, they actually have a son, although it's not confirmed that it's Misa's, but if you actually, look at the years and all that stuff, it's obvious Misa. So not only did he give her love, but he also did the deed with her to fully even manipulate her. So, that's not in the show, but I do want to clarify that. But I do not like this. It's just people recommended me this show, telling me how good it is, telling me how you need to stop whatever you're doing and watch it. Now, it is good. It has good writing, good animation. It's just not for me. I did not enjoy it because it's just not for me. I'm sorry, but that's pretty much my thoughts on it. But I do recommend it because it does have good writing. It has and good animation. I think other people might enjoy it for sure. And yeah. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you're new, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified for my next upload. My YouTube channel, website link, my Twitter, my Snapchat, and Instagram are all in the description as always. And thank you. Goodbye.